When I was about 13 years old, you had to either get skinny jeans that all the skaters wore or get baggy ones you could sag. Seeing as how I was 180 pounds, I couldn't exactly pull off the skinny look. So I went with baggy and we were on our way. The next morning, I'm heading out the door and all of a sudden my dad stops me. "Hey kid, what's going on with your pants? You look ridiculous. No son of mine is going out like that." My mom comes in. "Oh Nolan, you're gonna trip and fall. You're gonna tear them up. It's not safe." Another attempt to look cool halted by the powers that be. Parents just don't understand. But what if your parents were the North Carolina state legislature and your jeans were your truck? What if you wanted to sag your truck, lowering it in the rear and lifting it in the front? And what if your parents said no? Well, that's exactly what's happening. North Carolina is passing a bill that will ban squatted trucks for good. They say it's dangerous, but I have a lot of questions. Is this really about public safety or something else going on behind the scenes? Get your belt, because it's time to do some squats. Stupid.
Big thanks to insurance comparison site The Zebra for sponsoring today's video.
Summer is in full swing and we needed a break. We are totally worn out for making so many automotive, educational, fun videos for you guys. But you know who's not worn out? The Zebra. They're ready for you right now to help you find the best insurance policy for your needs. Ain't that right, Nolan?
That's right, James. The Zebra is the nation's leading car insurance comparison site with one goal: to simplify insurance. But it's not just about finding the cheapest coverage, it's about finding the best coverage. The average Zebra user saves $440 a year.
Job, it's your line.
Oh, $440? That is a ton of money.
That's right, Job. And not only that, the Zebra can help you answer all those hard-hitting insurance questions that keep you up at night. Like, would having an engine swap in my Mustang change my coverage? And better yet, the Zebra doesn't confuse you with any sort of techie jargon or overwhelm you with spam calls. In just a few short minutes after entering some basic information, you'll be comparing 100 providers side by side. So go to thezebra.com/wheelhouse and get your best policy today. Back to the show. The squatted truck trend has a few different names depending on where you're at. You got Carolina Squat, Cali Lean, and the Tennessee Tilt. It seems to me if you're in one of those three regions, you're probably not gonna use the name of where you live because nobody wants to be associated with this look. It's kind of like how no one wants to claim the turkey for their country. In French, it's the chicken from India. In Greece, it's called the French bird. In Egypt, it's called the Greek bird. And that's something you should know before we go any further. Squatting is controversial, to say the least. The comment sections on any sort of squat truck content are gonna be filled with people saying some pretty nasty things about these trucks and their owners. People are haters. Right now, there's a change.org petition to ban squatting, and it has over 70,000 signatures. 70,000! Why do people hate it so much? And it's not just comments from anonymous strangers. There's a real-world backlash as well. In late April of this year, House Bill 692 was submitted to the North Carolina House of Representatives. The next week, it passed with an overwhelming 107-5 vote in the House and moved to North Carolina's Senate. I guess there's 5 hot boys in the House. If passed by the Senate and signed by the governor, House Bill 692 will outlaw squatted trucks in the Tar Heel state. The motivating force behind this bill is perhaps unsurprisingly public safety. You know, I can't imagine it's very easy to see over the hood, and those headlights are pretty freaking bright. Get them off the road! But according to a report by local news station WCTI ABC 12 in New Bern, North Carolina, the North Carolina State Highway Patrol, quote, doesn't track the number of incidents with Carolina squats, and quote, haven't seen anything that stands out when it comes to the number of accidents. This doesn't make very much sense, right? If you're making a decision without looking at hard data, how can you know you're making the right decision? I couldn't accept that, so I actually called a few agencies in North Carolina to find any data I could. There had to be something.
So I don't know anything about that.
Yes, squatted trucks.
I know what squatters are. Let me just transfer you. I'm unable to take your call. Please leave a message.
Hey, how you doing, Sergeant? I'm doing a video on squatted trucks. I just had some questions about safety data and all that, and they said that you guys gave a presentation on squatted truck safety, and I just wanted to know if that was available anywhere. I'll give your email a shot as well. Thank you very much. I hope the Highway Patrol gets back to me. While we wait to see if we can get any data at all, let's look at where this trend came from. Since squatting isn't exactly a topic people have written books on, the origins of the squat trend are a little hard to pin down. People have been lifting and lowering their trucks for decades. Drivers in rural areas wanted more room for bigger tires, making it easier to drive over rough terrain. And the best way to make space in the truck's wheel well is to lift the truck up on longer suspension. Bigger tires usually means better performance off-road, but it also looks pretty cool. So in the late 70s and early 80s, a lot of people started installing lifts on their trucks, even if they weren't going to take them off-road. Lifted trucks found their way into the mainstream through pop culture. Whether it was a mild example like the Toyota from Back to the Future 2, or Bigfoot, the monster truck, not the monster, lifted trucks were here to stay. And it's hard to overstate how ingrained they become in American culture. There aren't many symbols for rural life that are better than a lifted pickup truck with knobby tires. But the squat is a more recent development, and there are a few theories as to where it came from. The explanation you usually hear is that desert racers in Baja California raise the noses on their trophy trucks so when they go over jumps, the truck doesn't immediately take a nosedive as it travels through the air. Now, this is like half right, I think. There are a lot of reasons a trophy truck squats. It's not just because the nosedive thing. They've got really fancy suspension in the rear, it's kind of soft to make long desert drives more bearable, and they want a certain type of handling. So the reasoning goes is that people wanted the trophy truck look without spending a bunch on fancy suspension. So they just lifted the front, and there you go, squat. But I don't really buy this. Maybe that was the case very early on, but on squatted trucks today, you don't see a lot of desert influence. Come to think of it, I don't think I've seen a squatted truck here in LA. But we do have our share of desert trucks like Raptors and Pre-Runners, and those things look like they can go off-road for sure. Squatted trucks, not so much. So what I think is more likely is that one day someone was in the middle of lifting their truck, they got the front done, and then they were like, dang, I'm hungry, let's go get lunch. Then drove to Hardee's or Culver's or whatever you Southerners have out there and realized that, dang, this looks kind of sick. Other people thought so too, and then it just spread. That's just my take, it could have happened differently. But what matters right now is that the trend is popular, and North Carolina wants to put an end to it. So how are they gonna go about doing that? The proposed legislation actually modifies an existing law that prohibited vehicles from being lifted more than 6 inches from factory specs. Now, the new law states, quote, a private passenger automobile shall not be modified or altered by 1, elevating the automobile more than 3 inches from the manufacturer's specified height in the front, and 2, lowering the automobile more than 2 inches from the manufacturer's specified height in the rear. Ironically, I think you could get some pretty tasteful squat with those guidelines. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, the State Highway Patrol got me back. And this is crazy, or at least I think so. The Office of Representative Brendan Jones told me that the NCSHP had given a presentation to the North Carolina General Assembly about squatted truck safety to help them decide on how to vote for the bill. I reached out to the Highway Patrol to see if I can get a copy of this presentation or any data they had on the subject. And surprisingly, the NCSHP could not provide me with any info from that presentation. I actually have the email right here, and they said, quote, unfortunately, the members that attended the hearing relied on their crash reconstruction knowledge and did not rely on records, PowerPoint, documents, etc., to provide insight. So, forgive me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like there's no hard data, and that's amazing to me. That's big, right? You've probably heard of anecdotal versus empirical evidence. Anecdotal evidence is based on personal experiences and stories to prove a point. Empirical evidence relies on recorded data collected from observations or experimentation. So, for example, if someone says that they don't wear a seatbelt because their uncle got in a crash without one and he survived, that's anecdotal. But reminding them that of the 22,215 passenger vehicle occupants killed in 2019, 47% were not wearing seatbelts, that's empirical. I can't be alone in this, right? I'll tell you what, it's time for a ride on our newest segment, the Experiment Express. This is a 2004 Toyota Tacoma that I borrowed from a buddy, totally stock, but I wanted to see what modifying the front end does for visibility. This is about public safety after all. So to do that, I've set up a course with a bunch of cones at 25, 50, and 100 feet away from the truck. We've also got a life-size Zach Job cardboard cutout there to represent your pedestrians. And I've also parked the Money Pit Miata in front of the Tacoma to simulate stop and go traffic. That's about how close I tailgate in Los Angeles, so I think it's pretty accurate. Okay, hopping into the truck, stock height. Can very easily see Zach Job at 25 feet away. Can easily see the cone all the way at 100 feet. And the Miata, even though it's super low, it's pretty obvious that it's there. It'd be hard to miss it. Stock ride height, no surprise there, great visibility. But now I wanna lift it to the maximum that North Carolina law allowed before this new bill, and that's 6 inches front and back. Obviously, I'm not gonna mod my buddy's truck without their permission, so I've just got some jacks, and we're just gonna do it that way. All right, so we've lifted the Tacoma 6 inches. It doesn't really look like it because there's no load on the front wheels, so it looks closer to the ground. So I'll hop in and we'll see what it looks like. Oh, that's definitely 6 inches. That's what she said. So 6-inch level lift. You can see Zach Job perfectly fine. You can still see the cone way down there at 100 feet. And surprisingly, you can still see the Miata parked just in front. Not a hazard. I'm actually kind of surprised. Let's squat this thing. Yeah, let's squat this thing. This is a great video, Nolan. Thank you, Job. Much appreciated. Oh, I see a problem already. All right, 6-inch squat in the front. Okay, with just a 6-inch lift in the front, nothing done in the rear, can definitely see everything, our entire course. Zach Job is perfectly safe. The Miata is a little less visible, but I can see everything. I do feel kind of cool though. I'm leaning back, chilling. Yeah, this isn't bad. We've lifted the truck 6 inches in the front and it's just not producing results. And that's because people don't just lift the front, they also squat the rear. So we can't lower the rear on jacks, obviously, but we can get some boys. Looking for boys. Where are the boys at? Oh, we got a lot of boys in here. Boys, I need all of you in the bed of the Tacoma, please. Oh, here we go. This is what I'm talking about right now. We lowered the rear end 5 inches with all the boys. 6 inches. 6 in the front, 6 in the back, just with dudes in the back. Let's see what the visibility is. All right, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that! All right. Oh! Cannot see the Miata. Top of the Miata, you can barely see the top of the windshield right there, but I can still see Job off in the distance, right there. And the cone way over there. So visibility with a 6-inch lift in the front, 6-inch drop in the back, visibility's okay. I'm surprised, man. This is not the result I was expecting. Now, should we go 12 inches in the front? All right, everybody out for safety. We lifted the truck 12 inches in the front. Let's see what it looks like. Can't even see the Miata, but I can see Job at 25 feet, can still see that 50-foot cone, and can still see the 100-foot cone. All right, so the testing is over. So we didn't start seeing extreme results until we started doing extreme things to the truck, which is to be expected. I don't really know what to make of these results. With that being said, back to Nolan in the studio. Despite the lack of hard data from North Carolina, I do get where the squat ban law is coming from. Some of these squatted trucks just take it too far. Whistling Diesel has a video where he bought one of these trucks and it looked legitimately dangerous. It's not hard to imagine how you could get in a serious accident with a squatted truck. But on the other hand, that's precisely the problem in my opinion. Imagining a bad outcome and making a decision to prevent it without relying on solid evidence proving it's actually necessary. Now, I'm not saying that the North Carolina legislature and State Highway Patrol are making a bad decision here. The office of Brendan Jones, one of HB 692's sponsors, told me that constituents have complained about squatted trucks. The NCSHP sees these things every day and have probably seen a lot more accidents involving them than have been officially recorded. I do believe that the North Carolina government is seeing a potential problem and reacting with public safety in mind. I'm all about safety, so I can respect that. Truly. But on the other hand, I feel bad for all the squatted truck people. I really do. I haven't seen this much hate towards a trend since the stance days. And to my knowledge, no laws were ever made over stretched tires or too much camber or slammed suspension. It almost feels like people's knee-jerk reaction to these trucks was, ooh, that looks stupid, that looks dangerous, I hate it, let's get rid of it. And it's probably gonna work. The good news is, if you have a squatted truck in North Carolina, you have until December 1st to level it out. If you don't fix your truck, you could risk losing your license. You'd have to get convicted of driving a vehicle that breaks this law 3 times, but it could happen. At the time of this recording, the bill still hasn't been made law. It passed the House, but that's it. it'll probably become lost soon. Whether you love or hate squatted trucks, there's a bigger lesson to be learned here. And that is, you can just call your state government and ask them how they work. Do it, call them up. Hey, what you got going on over there? How's that work? I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. That's the episode for this week. If you want more truck content in the future, subscribe to Donut. You'll get it. If you're a donut super freak and you want behind the scenes content and just a lot of exclusive stuff, click that join button down below. Check out the Donut Underground. That might be right for you. We'd love to have you there. Follow me at Nolan J. Sykes. Follow Donut at Donut Media. We post a lot of memes now. It's kind of interesting. Be kind, wear your seatbelt. I'll see you next time.